He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Kyle and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello and welcome once again to Bat Minute and Robin, the show that's here to melt your snowman 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here, once again, investigating this giant child's bedroom that we find ourselves in. It's me, Niall McGann.
Unfortunately, Neil cannot be here today. It is I, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who will be taking his place. You may remember me from such films as Kindergarten Cop and Terminator 2. Sorry.
Thanks for joining us, Arnold. We've always wanted you on the show.
Yeah. I had to get the Arnie impression out because I know Niall said a long time ago that he was disappointed by the amount of guests who wouldn't do an Arnie impression. So I figured the last episode I should do one and get it out of the way.
You get loads of people going, "Oh, my impression's terrible." It's like, good. It should that's better.
Yeah.
My only disappointment now is that I thought that was the actual Arnie for a second. I was like, oh my god.
He's here!
I was wondering how much you would sweat if I didn't drop the accent or the persona and just did it, but yeah.
I do appreciate that you're like the leading film was Kindergarten Cop.
I think that's my favourite thing to say is Arnie, Kindergarten Cop, because it's just, he mangles every single syllable on it.
My favourite thing to say is probably from that movie, actually. It's when he just says his own name, Detective John Kimball.
I have horrible flashbacks of my youth because one of the pranks that I played when I was about like 13, 14, I had one of those soundboards like on a computer.
The Arnie one.
Yeah, the Arnie one. And we used to like ring up IT support people and it would be, "Hello, my name is Detective John Kimball." And then it would be, "I have a CPU, neural net processor." "Who is your daddy and what does he do?"
There's loads of good ones of those online where it's really obscure lines as well, like, "I would like to talk to you about Thomas Aquinas."
But we got really unstuck because I can't remember what it is now, but on the old phones you used to have to press like hash or whatever after you dialed the number, and we didn't do it on one number. That lady rang us back and was really angry.
Oh. At the end of the day, if someone did that and I recognised it was Arnie, I'd just be like, fair play, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's the John Kimball lines though, because he's exasperated. He's like, "I'm Detective John Kimball." Like, he's at his wit's end when he's roaring it as well.
And as we always say, there's no way this man is called John Kimball.
No. John Matrix, maybe. But yeah.
John Matrix. Yeah.
Was it Howard Langston? In Jingle All the Way.
What was he in Predator?
Alan Dutch Schaefer.
That's Schaefer, at least.
Yeah,
that's
There's no way that guy's called Alan. Like, just even the character of Dutch. Like, Alan doesn't sound like a badass name.
No.
Like Alan Grant kind of becomes a badass just through the experiences of Jurassic Park, but he starts off as like, no, he's a nerdy scientist guy.
He's just a dweeb.
But oh man, the story is.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are here to talk about minute 105. The minute starts with a bested baddie, and it ends with our heroes advancing on their ultimate foe.
That's started off another cool shot here as well, though, of the overhead of all the vehicles speeding towards, once again, this big towering place that Freeze is hiding out in. It's another it's a good shot. It's
That's your trailer shot. There's certain shots you put in a movie and you're like, that's going in the trailer. That's going in the trailer. There's also, I don't know if you've seen the, or whether I should even bring this up, there's a director's cut trailer that has been passed around to me, has passed around to lots of people. I know it's been on YouTube. I don't know if it's been taken down and gone back up. But supposedly it was like a production... Someone on the production crew cut together a spoof trailer. This is back in 1997 of the movie, and kind of used shots from it and dubbed over kind of Cher Horowitz's lines from Clueless.
Amazing.
And various other kind of little bits, and it has little bits of kind of B-roll and things that aren't in the film, which maybe lends credence to the idea that it's someone on the production crew kind of had the footage. I don't know, or whether it's just like an early spoof and it's just an urban legend.
I could see it being the crew.
Yeah. They did have that. Obviously, the famous drawing of Alicia Silverstone in the Batsuit.
Oh boy, yeah.
It was like
I got some feelings about
Clueless
that.
2 thing. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, though, like if they're already riffing on Clueless and that, then they might as well have been making fun of her because she was in Clueless when they were making, editing stuff together.
Oh
as well.
god,
But-
yeah. You can dub me, but that guy who drew that cartoon, just.
I'm just astounded that he owns it now. He's just like, yeah, I did that. It's like, you wouldn't tell anybody that you did that ever.
It'd be
Why
like,
would you want anyone to know?
I don't know who did that. But it certainly looks like my drawing, but it was not me.
Well, where's the proof? Again. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing though, because it features much more prominently later in the minute. But speaking of Alicia Silverstone, we of course have Batgirl in her fleeting appearance in a cowl. In this minute, got a good close up of it in the last minute, and it kind of like a lot of reasons why isn't she wearing the cowl the whole time? Could be one, Alicia Silverstone's very well known for her lustrous hair.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't want to hide that asset. People love that hair. Also, two, Alicia Silverstone was very miserable wearing the suit, as was everyone who's ever worn a Batman suit.
I was about to say,
Yeah,
has anyone ever had a positive thing to say?
Yeah.
And I think maybe because obviously they did have this whole business where they did the body casts of her, and then she put on like a little tiny bit of weight and came back, and it was all a bit too tight. So it could have been even things like just trying to make things more comfortable for her, just let her not wear the thing on her head the whole time. Plus, two, it just doesn't look right. I don't like the look of that.
I don't know.
That cowl on her.
They reuse a similar suit. I don't know whether it's the exact same suit on the Birds of Prey TV show, the 2003 one. They put Dina Meyer in it, and they coloured it up so it's got like a blonde, kind of yellow bat symbol and kind of yellow gauntlets, so it's much more. And she does wear the cowl in that. I'm sure she wears a cowl, and it looks fine on her. It looks really good on Dina Meyer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it
it just doesn't work, and
it kind of looks like it's too big for her.
yeah. Or is it meant to be like a helmet? Is it like we made like a stunt helmet? Because there's there were all those photos that got leaked from the Robert Pattinson movie where it was like the stunt guy, and it looked the suit looked a little bit goofy, but then it was like a stunt suit. It was meant to be like probably padded out, underneath. So I don't know whether the cowl, they were just like, well, put the stunt hat on her, and it looked kind of like really, really silly. I don't know.
It could have been. I was almost thinking as well. I was like, well, she is, riding a motorbike, and it had an emphasis on helmets before. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, for safety, precautions for kids and stuff. They'll always wear your helmet.
That's true.
Because I know that they used to do weird things apparently way back when Happy Days started, and it was scandalous to have the Fonz in a leather jacket.
Yeah.
They said they constantly had to have his motorbike in the background when he was on screen. So it would be indicating as if he was about to go and ride the motorbike. That's why he's wearing the leather jacket. It's because it's safety. Because leather jackets are good for when you fall off in the street because it's tougher material and stuff.
Clever.
But I would say that. But then Robin never wears a helmet once in this goddamn. Well, when he's in Robin mode, he doesn't. When he's in Dick Grayson, he does have his radical Robin helmet thing.
America has a strange relationship with safety procedures. Like, you don't have to wear a seatbelt in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure none of them are wearing seatbelts when they're driving these vehicles either.
That's
to be honest.
true. Well, you couldn't do a backflip. You can't wear one on a bike anyway. Why are there no seatbelts on a bike? Some kind of... I guess you'd go... If you fell off, it would be worse, I guess.
Yeah.
They need to develop
along with the vehicle might actually
They need to
do you a lot more
develop
damage.
something.
Maybe some kind of harness that can flip you up into the air.
Yeah.
Onto someone else's vehicle. Yeah.
And landing on your feet, in your heels.
Yeah, perfect. That Joel Schumacher was a visionary, I tell you.
He was onto something.
But yeah, because obviously all the concept art though of Batgirl, a lot of it did feature the cowl. They always had. It was almost like she looked more like Catwoman because they were doing.
Yeah.
Like the hair wasn't featured at all.
Yeah.
And the whole business of Barbara's hair coming out the back, it's kind of a contentious issue because it's been with her from the beginning. It always has that element of like, wouldn't you just grab her hair if you're fighting her? It's a liability to have your hair like long and flowing out the back of your protective gear. And it made more sense in the 60s show when they introduced it, because it was like Barbara Gordon has like a black beehive hairdo, as Yvonne Craig had. And then so when she puts on the Batgirl disguise, this long flowing red hair, it's like, oh, that's part of the disguise. So people will be like, oh, it's just Batgirl's clearly you've got red hair. Like, it couldn't possibly be the commissioner's daughter, and things like that. But I know, yeah, in the Batman animated series, though, they had a whole thing where she was obviously posing as Batman in the episode she's introduced in, to garner support at a public rally. Barbara puts on a bat suit, and Robin grabs the back of it, chasing her, to be like, who the hell is this person posing as Batman? Rips the hole in the back, that's her hair comes out, and she just kind of keeps it and stuff. But yeah, this is an odd, like, everything about the cowl choices and stuff are just fascinating to me, because there's all little weird details in it too, where the close-up of the cowl she has is like there's kind of sharp angles down from like onto her cheeks, like little like triangular points, and it looks awkward and weird. But it was also awkward and weird because when they were pitching season 3 of the Batman 60s TV show, and they did a pilot with Yvonne Craig, it was only like 5 minutes, you get it on YouTube, where she takes on Killer Moth, appropriately enough. The first foe she fought in the comics. And she's saving Bruce Wayne and Batman and Robin in the library because she works there. They put on an early version of the suit, and she's got those same angles. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I also noticed that, like, that the original Batwoman, Kathy Kane, they had the red mask and the yellow jumpsuit and stuff. Her mask had those weird things. So I think it's a kind of long-winded nod to that, maybe.
Yeah, could be.
It's but yeah, this cowl itself, for all the love that it doesn't get, I sold at auction a couple of years back for $11,520.
Whoa!
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if it was like Alicia Silverstone herself who bought it
To burn it.
Yeah. I kind of get the vibe she probably didn't want any mementos from this movie at the time, but maybe years later she's like, I was Batgirl, though. Maybe I should try to own that a little bit.
She did a TikTok video, didn't she, recently, where it's just kind of like, it was a picture of her as Batgirl, and it just morphed into her. And like, that was it. That's all TikTok videos out really on there.
Hey,
but
let's get it back.
Yeah. Hey, the Flash is coming. Let's put Alicia Silverstone back in the Batsuit.
Why not? Why not? Get her to I was going to say get her to redeem herself, like she did something wrong.
I don't think
Let her redeem herself.
Yeah, I don't think she really does anything wrong. It's just it's the script, really, isn't it?
It's the script. It's the direction. Yeah, it's not her.
There's signs towards the end of this movie that it could be fun having her and Chris O'Donnell kind of like spar and banter with each other.
Yeah, I think they work really well together. There's just other issues at play. In
the closing moments, though, she does a good, like her when she's putting out the fists and stuff to do the kind of 3-way handshake thing. She's a bit more life about her in that scene where you're like, I would like to see more of this Batgirl, but beyond that though, so we have her in the fleeting appearance of this cowl. Find out underneath, of course, she still has her normal mask on. And should we talk about the suits now?
Yeah, sure.
Because they're like, this was so many weird things in this movie where George Clooney would talk about like, oh yeah, on the lot, these suits were so secret that like when he'd be walking from place to place, they'd have guys with screens around him walking with him, so no one would see them.
Does it matter that much?
No. Because they're terrible.
Yeah, and it's just the same suit that he wore in the last movie. They've just spray painted some bits of it, really.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know it's always exciting. Like, what have they done to the suit? But it's never different enough to really, like, make or break the film.
You could have really done something with a suit now, because you have to have him in, like, he is going up against the final battle of Mr. Freeze. In that friggin' the Arkham Origins DLC, Cold Heart. I love Arkham Origins, the game, anyway.
Yeah.
But they had the Cold Heart DLC was him. There's like an origin of Mr. Freeze story, and Batman does have to get a new suit in that, and it's this giant, weird-looking, red-eyed, monstrosity of a thing, to the point where like, how's he even fitting in the vents anymore? It's so friggin' padded and stuff. But there was a kind of thing of like, oh, if you're selling toys and stuff too, like go for it. You can make them look like the Azrael bat,
Yeah.
John Paul Valley, where he has the face entirely covered and he's really bulky and stuff. Ties in to Bane, ties into what's happening in the comics at the minute. You can sell a toy of that. And instead here, it's weird because it's almost like they're making a kind of weird meta commentary. Like saying that the inside the observatory. I keep forgetting the word observatory. What's the matter? I keep wanting to say planetarium.
Planetarium.
Because like inside it looks, said it looks a bit like a children's bedroom with all the the things on the roof and stuff. If you have one of those kind of weird nightlight things, them just painting the sonar suit is almost like, are they making some kind of reference to Kenner just repainting the same model toy over and over again?
Yeah, could be, possibly. I don't know that they were. I think they were quite, unlike Tim Burton, who I think was frustrated with the toys, to the point where, like, that original shot in Batman Returns where the fire breather breathed the fire, they originally built a big shop full of Batman toys, and that was going to be the gag. He's kind of set that on fire. I think Joel loved the toys, and I think he was really, from what I've heard, he was really accommodating, and went to meetings with the toy people, and Barbara Ling as well, art director, went to a lot of meetings and just made sure that kind of everything was sort of connecting up. But yeah, I'm sure. I think what happened was, it wasn't necessarily that Kenner were leading the filmmakers. I think the filmmakers were like, do you know what? Let's actually do some kind of toy stuff for these people, some toyetic stuff.
Yeah, it's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like the toys, so it's some people's entry point into Batman, who don't read the comics. They pick up the toys, and then they like the toys, and then they read the comics, and then they like the graphic novels, and they like the movies, and everything.
Yeah, nobody.
But yeah, I don't know if you've gone over the toyetic term, because it's a bit of a history on that.
No,
we've used the word plenty, but never really explained it. Actually,
yeah. So it was one of the Kenner advertising and development executives, a guy called Bernard Loomis, and supposedly he was talking to Steven Spielberg about the marketability of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and he said, "Your movie is not toyetic," and that was the first time that phrase. He was the person who coined that phrase. And I looked it up today because I was like, did they make any toys for Close Encounters? Because there's nothing really to make. And sure enough, that they did. There was one company, and I can't remember their name, Imperial Toys or something. They made a bendy alien figure, and they slapped Close Encounters.
That's
you can get Bob Balaban now.
But obviously, the same year, 77 was, or 76 was when Kenner got the license for Star Wars. They were the Star Wars people, and that was kind of a whole kind of story where kind of George Lucas and 20th Century Fox were trying to find a toy company. Everyone was turning them down. At that point, no one was interested in making toys of movies. You had the occasional one, Star Trek might be okay. You could slap the Star Trek banner on stuff. Planet of the Apes sold okay. And kind of superhero, but it was more superheroes and stuff. It wasn't, you wouldn't really make a toy line for a movie because the movie would be in the cinema and it wouldn't last. But
because you couldn't just watch it at home.
Yeah, you couldn't watch it at home. But yeah, so Kenner were this really small company based in Cincinnati. They'd been formed in 1946. They had some big hits in the 60s with the Easy Bake Oven and the Spirograph. That was their two big things. They did Stretch Armstrong in the 70s, and then 76. They make it sound like they were the last resort. George Lucas and 20th Century Fox had been to everyone else, and they were like, "Can you make some Star Wars toys?" And they said, "Yes, we can, and we'll get them in the stores." They signed a contract, and then they couldn't actually turn the toys around quick enough. So what they actually did was, and the toy stores, you would go to the toy store and you would buy this cardboard box, basically. and you could pay $50 for that, and then come back at Christmas, and you could get all the figures for the toy line. So they were really fluky with that, and like that was like the toyetic movie, because like every character like looks fun and interesting, and you could take it and you could play it with other figures and other things like that. And Star Wars was also the one where they figured out the kind of 3 3/4 size, which was like the perfect size for like a kid's hand. So like after that, everyone was trying to make movie toy. They were looking for the next toyetic movie to make figures from, and Kenner I think led the way and did a lot of stuff kind of in the 80s with kind of like the real Ghostbusters was like a huge hit of theirs.
I had those toys,
but yeah, as soon as they hit Batman in the 90s, it was like Batman and Jurassic Park were like the two things of the early 90s, and then obviously Star Wars kind of came back in the tail end of the 90s. The special editions and stuff, they started putting more toys out, so it was just Star Wars.
It is interesting that like a lot of movies that would then focus on toys to that extent get criticized for it, like, oh, they're just trying to sell toys to kids. Star Wars, maybe at the time, but over the years nobody ever criticizes it for it now.
No. And one thing about Star Wars was they made like one Luke Skywalker. They made one Han Solo, like when they started anyway.
Yeah, old faithful yellow lightsaber.
Yep, shoved up his sleeve. But it was really kind of towards the kind of the Ghostbusters ones where they were like, do you know what? We've just got to release them with different costumes, different backpacks, different things like that. So that was sort of like the next innovation of the 80s. But yeah, there were loads of misses. Like Kenner had like would try and make toy lines out of everything, and there were loads of misses. Like Waterworld, Dragonheart was one, and it was just like Congo. I remember
the toys for Congo, just some gorillas.
Well, yeah, they had some like kind of angry, kind of attacking gorillas, and then they reused a lot of the Jurassic Park. They made like a ton of Jurassic Park figures, and they reused a lot of Jurassic Park and Aliens. So like the lead character in Congo was like Ripley's body with the flamethrower, but like she had just like a different head.
Very Congo.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was Kenner. They were always looking for the. I'm trying to think of like another movie that was like really criticized for being toyetic, and I think kind of like Episode 1 was probably like the only other one I can really think of where.
One that I don't know if Kenner has anything to do with them, but one that really struck my notice in the last week was I went to see Spider-Man No Way Home, and obviously won't get into any spoilers because obviously it's very heavily protected, as of time of recording, very, very heavily protected movie and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's moments in that movie, as much as I enjoyed it, where this is shamelessly trying to make like Spider-Man is wearing his suit inside out because you can turn that into a toy. Like there's no real reason. It's like, oh yeah, he got paint on a suit and now he has to wear it inside out. And it's like, that's not a reason to have it. You could have just had him in his normal suit. You just wanted to make the toy of him looking a little bit different.
You get a new Funko Pop.
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of it is now more like adult collector lines. I don't know if they do a Spider-Man one. They must do. I think Spider-Man and Batman are like the two like stalwarts. They've never gone out of like the top.
My Spider-Man toy I had when I was a kid though, I was actually quite fond of, where it was one of those weird variants where it was Spidey Sense Spider-Man.
Okay.
But it was from the animated show they did in the 90s, so it was kind of like he had like a green lining to his eyes and all his colors, so it was kind of more of a dark purpley color and stuff. And I thought that looked really awesome. I was kind of like, that should just be a suit all the time, quite frankly. But it's just from in the cartoon where he does like, my Spidey sense is tingling. It'll flash. Its colors will change ever so slightly to indicate that something's happening. But that No Way Home is very, very, very much just do slight variations on every little thing. And you can make toys out of this, that, and the other. And look at all these characters we've brought back. You can make like a dozen toys out of each of them.
Genius.
Genius, yeah.
Although the weird thing with these suits here that they obviously because even at the time I had from the animated series, and I had to go look this up to find out what toy it was. Ice or Lightning Strike Batman from the Batman animated series, where it was a black suit and kind of white zigzags all over.
Yeah,
him.
I had that. Yeah.
And when I remember when Batman and Robin came out, seeing these suits, I was like, is that are they going for that? Like, it kind of looked a bit similar. It probably is complete coincidence, but it was almost as if like, oh, we were already taking a kind of pre-existing toy idea. And
Well, yeah, I guess it was all Kenner, like Kenner, the animated series and the movie series, so they probably had the same people working on the same things, and were probably, I know they like reused certain like little accessories, like the Riddler figure in the movie had the same kind of question mark missile from the animated series line, so they were just sort of kind of like borrowing from each other. I don't think that they were never a particularly huge company, so yeah, I'm sure a lot of the same people worked on the same things.
I think they released, actually, weirdly speaking of Spider-Man, I think these outfits were the Guardians of Gotham double
Yes,
pack.
they were. Yeah.
And they had a weird spider web thing behind them.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
They
so
had like a bat symbol in it somewhere for some reason.
yeah, they and annoyingly they didn't do a Batgirl in the ice suits or whatever it was called. They did a sort of like they did the bike. You could get the bike and Batgirl together, but they made some weird sort of like futuristic kind of armor on her, and she had like a visor and all kinds of things, so it was a bit but yeah, the Guardians of Gotham, that was the sort of movie accurate one, where it was all chromed up, and you had that weird spider web. I think when they did those kind of 2-pack figures, and they did a lot of them for Batman and Robin, they did kind of like, oh well, you want Batman and Bane and Batman and Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy and Robin and stuff. You want the 2 figures together so you can bash them against each other.
Well, she
But,
joked earlier on that every Poison Ivy figure comes with a Bane. It doesn't.
It doesn't. No, you don't. You can't get a Bane and a Poison Ivy. You have to get them separately. It's annoying. But yeah, so yeah, it was a weird. It was. I think it was like a price point thing. Like if you had the 2 figures, you didn't want to make it so expensive, so you didn't put any accessories with it. So you would put like a stand, or you would put like that weird spider web. I don't know what it is.
I imagine though the people at Kenner hearing that line, they go, every Poison Ivy comes with him, and them going like, well, if you want to turn a profit, they don't. You gotta sell those separately. We can't just give them all away at the same damn time.
Kenner didn't always dragged their heels a bit on doing female action figures. They notoriously don't sell, well, they didn't back in the 90s sell particularly well, and you had to sort of create.
Yeah.
You were going after just the boy market or just the girl market. It was very binary. So whenever there was like a female character in like a TV show or a movie, they would do like the absolute bare minimum, because I guess they thought they weren't going to sell.
Boys
I
won't
remember
play
the
with
animated
that.
series. I remember the animated series, like the people at the animated series were like, hey, why haven't you made Poison Ivy? Why haven't you made Roxy Rocket, is it?
Yeah.
Into an action figure. Why haven't you done this and that and stuff? And they were just like, do we have to?
Yeah, it's a shame. Luckily, things have got a bit better. Not a lot.
Things are better. I would say it's still very gendered, but you do have things like so there's the animated series called DC Superhero Girls, is it? And it's sort of like. Power Girl and Wonder Woman and Batgirl and Jade.
They're all in
and stuff.
high school, so I know
and they're all in high school. Yeah.
It's my baby roommate Killian. He watches that show, and I end up sitting watching with him sometimes.
Yeah, my 2 sons watch that, and it's nice that they're watching something that's not just like male protagonist.
Yeah, I was just happy too, because it's Tara Strong doing Harley again.
Yes, it is.
After hearing, Kaylee Cuoco doing that and seeing Margot Robbie, and you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of like what Harley's like. It's like, I guess. And then hearing Tara Strong doing it, it's like, oh yeah, that's the Harley Quinn. That's the exact voice. Yeah.
Well, we should probably get back to the minute.
Sorry, we're really sidetracking.
Where are we? Oh, Freeze. Yes, Freeze in the observatory where he set up camp. He kind of makes a fatal mistake here, I think. He sends Bane to take out Robin and Batgirl, but he himself wants Batman, and he wants to finish the city off. And I'm just sitting here thinking, you're taking on too much, man. Delegate. Sort the city out first, then let Bane distract Batman or something.
that was one of my big notes for Mr. Freeze here was that he has this giant ice cannon. We know now that he knows. We know now that he knows that Batman is coming, and like, okay, so the Freeze-mobile ice cannon didn't do anything to the Bat-Hammer, but this thing's like 10 times the size.
Yeah.
Why isn't he blasting them off the street? Why is he waiting for them to come to him? They should just be constantly firing at them, spraying the roads, making sure they don't get anywhere near him. Eventually, they're bound to follow up. He's, those suits they're wearing are only covering, like, they got the little silver elements are designed to protect them, because that's supposed to be, that's only covering like a third of the suits and stuff.
Yeah, it's like RoboCop, shoot him in the mouth.
Yeah.
The worst one is, and it's weird because I do not care for the Batgirl suit in this movie, the all black version. I actually do like the silver detailing. I think she looks way better in this outfit. But it's kind of like, where's the protection? They got their eyes, and then the emblem, and the belt. And everything else is like, oh, you could freeze her eggs, I guess, technically, because you could just blast her body. She got no covering for it. Batman's the most heavily armored, I guess. And then Robin's kind of like, the two of them got those very prominent cod pieces going on too.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like it almost looks like a mawashi, like the sumo wrestler kind of attire, like the thing they kind of wrap around their waists. But it's just so odd looking. It's not a good look on it. Like, the Superman underwear on the outside thing is kind of vaguely jarring, I guess. But this is like your eyes are going straight to the big silver things wrapped around and in through their groin.
I mean, I'm on board for it. I don't care. It's got like an HR Giga kind of a quality to it.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I like it.
Batman's looks very armored. Robin's has got a weird design on it where it almost looks like it's like a diagram of the inside of a vagina, almost.
I think that's why I thought of HR Giga. It was very anatomical, but also mechanical looking.
Yeah. Like, I almost wish they were making some kind of statement through this with that, but I don't know if they are. Like, it just, it was some kind of, we're going for a subtext here.
They're saying he is a girly boy.
Well, it could, again, in an office where they were drawing pictures of Alicia Silverstone and squeezing into a bat suit and things like that. That could be the joke. I was hoping that it might be like, well, isn't Batman all about sort of being trans in his own way and things like that?
Well, yeah, but you're giving them too much credit.
Oh, totally. But I wish that's what they were going for.
It will be good. No, I'm a fan of the color schemes here, though. I like the silver with the black. It's because I don't think Batman should ever be like bright. Whenever there's like a really bright blue or something, it's a bit weird. Whereas this, I mean, well, we've seen the suits are technically supposed to be blue in this movie, aren't they? But here, no, I like the combo. It adds a flair without being sort of startling.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, Batman's now sans nipples again because he's back in the sonar suit.
They froze off.
Do you think now this would be the one scene you'd want the nipples to be pronounced in, really?
Is it cold in here?
Did you... I can't remember if we asked you that last year, Neil, because one of the big questions at the end of Batman Forever, what was the point of the sonar suit? Because he flips the thing down over his eyes and then just flings a batarang at the giant thing that's up on top of the roof.
Is it just the... Oh, actually, now I think about it, isn't there like an early version of the script where when he arrives at Claw Island, it's like more of like a maze kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, there's a whole...
I want to say like that it's a sonar suit, so it's like...
You can tell what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, you can sort of, navigate. But yeah, in the finished movie, he just gets to this very bright throne room, and it's sort of, I don't know, quite frankly. I don't know what the tactical suit did at the end of Justice League either, with the little goggles, where it needed to look different.
Yeah. I kind of hope that he put on the sonar suit here. He's like, oh, don't worry, guys, I got this one. He just lands up, flips on the lenses, and just flings a batarang at something. Flings it at the telescope. He's like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, no. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Of course, these guys do. They go to ascend to Freeze's throne with grappling hooks that even this is like we saw how tall that mountain was. Like, there's those grapplings that go up a couple of feet and then fall back down. Like, there's no way they would have the momentum to reach all the way up to the top of this damn thing.
Not a chance in hell that's fitting in the belt either.
No, not at all.
Think of the length. Wait.
Yeah. And that could be the thing. It's like, oh no, it's wired in through the wrist, and the cod pieces are totally stuffed.
That's what it
coil.
is.
That's where the mechanism is to wire it back up. Yeah,
It's the logical place to put it now.
You see them after, like, winding going into the groin, winding things back up. Like, what are you doing? I'm winding up my coil, all right?
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Where the hell are
The
we
get to the observatory. Well, I actually do really like the whole color scheme they got going on in here. It's very garish and it's just goofy looking, but like the kind of that weird effect they do inside the telescope now to make it look like Freeze has modified it. It's all like it's like those balls where you put your hands on it and your hair stands up.
Yeah.
It's got those kind of lines going through it, and then all the purple with the star systems in the sky and stuff. I like it. I think it just looks those colors appeal to me. So I was kind of happy to look at it and be like, yeah, it's very goofy looking, but yeah, sure.
I think it's one of the best looking minutes. I mean, I love it from second one. You know, when you see the vehicles driving out from behind, they look gorgeous with the neon next to the ice, and it's the same as you get inside here. I like the color combinations. It's really, really cool. But we're people who grew up with like, laser tag and stuff. So yeah. I'm used to dark lights with neon.
It does have a laser tag vibe about it, actually.
Yeah. The other thing that it brought to mind was there's an animated series episode, isn't there? The Prophecy of Doom.
Oh,
where it's all like at the planetarium. Yeah, that is a planetariam. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
With the kind of prophet.
Just pretend that's what you're thinking of now when you get it wrong every time.
Yeah. Because I keep wanting to say, and there's a really old South Park joke where they go to a planetarium, but the guy can't pronounce his T, so he keeps saying planetarium over it. And so every time, not only am I realizing I shouldn't say planetarium, I'm also stopping myself from saying planetarium all the time. We probably got like 3 or 4 more weeks inside this damn building as well to try to overcome that after.
We don't want to blow the wad too soon, but it's a nice building. And we get, as we go inside, I think some absolutely awful dialogue. Terrible now. As Robin says, no sign of the snowman. And Batgirl responds with, maybe he melted. Yeah, thanks for that contribution.
That's just like, we need to have some dialogue here. We ain't got anything, but that's the best we can do.
It'll do. That's probably the first draft. We'll punch it up later. It's fine.
You could kind of make it with like, have it be that they're, they are kind of joking amongst themselves anyway, but be like, oh, no sign of the soul man. She's like, maybe he slipped out, and have her kind of nudge him and be like, draw attention to the fact that it's a terrible line. But I guess they already kind of are. Like they're joking amongst themselves anyway. So it's just that they happen to choose a really, really lame joke. And the thing now, knowing how much that friggin' cowl sold for at auction, the negligent just lifting it off and chucking it on the floor there. I'm aghast at the treatment of like Bruce Wayne would be like, oh, do I pick up your stuff and just throw it on the floor? No, you pick that up, put it back in your belt. We'll get it later, or just wear it in your damn head. It's a helmet, for Christ's sake.
Really, they should all have helmets when you think about it, if they're trying to protect themselves from this extreme weather and things.
Yeah. This is Robin all the time. He's got like his hair is so short and everything as well. He's got nothing up there. My personal preference, like headcanon for Robins, is that the hair should be like a padded wig or something. I just have to tell myself every time I'm reading a comic book that like, oh yeah, the various Robins can have like different color hair and stuff, but there's like a uniformed thing of like when you're in the Robin suit, you have the black spiky hair, and it's because you put that on and it's got like armor plating because it is a helmet, but you don't know that it's a helmet kind of thing. And you can lace it through with like communication devices and cameras and crap like that as well. But no, you're just always supposed to accept that, like, he's just going around with no protection up there. And Batman's like, cool, kid. Just, you do you or whatever. But yeah. So speaking of things that look a bit lame, they decide then they have to grapple their way across the planetarium. And so Batman does his the thing he did at the beginning of Batman Forever. It's like shoots through a grapple through a wall that apparently is made of friggin' spackle or something.
Yeah, that is such a fake wall. What the hell am I looking at?
And then Batgirl and Robin whip out their batarangs. And it must be deliberate. Because, why wouldn't you reshoot this? Batgirl's visibly wobbles, because it's just rubber. I got one of those Nika 89 Batarang replicas for 16 quid, and that looks better than this.
And this probably costs $400 to make or something.
Yeah, but it's just we only got time for one shot. It wobbled. That's fine. Just move on. You can't help but see that. It makes it look like a toy. Which is there's some universe where this is all deliberate and it is designed to look like a child's bedroom. The suits are repainted because it is a commentary on toy lines and it's kind of a slight jab. And this thing is designed, it looks rubbery and toy-like because it's a rubber toy we're trying to sell to you. And it's kind of there's a little bit more of a bite to the content than just the silliness that's usually on display. But I don't know. Neil now will be like, I love that batarang. I own that rubber batarang.
I don't. I did pick up a model of a full size model of the Sonar batarang that he uses at the end of Batman Forever. I have that. I'm trying to figure out a way of making it kind of slide into place like it does in the film.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, if I could get that working, that'd be quite cool. I will just instinctively just fling it and break it instantly as soon as I built it, but I think it will be worth it.
That's what it's for.
That was within the first week of owning that Nika Batarang, I was showing Killian. It's oh, it's about you flip it out like this and you fling it. I just flinged it across my bedroom carpet and already a bit of paint is chipped off. Okay, so we're not touching this anymore, kid. I'm just gonna put that up there. And every time he asks about it, I'm like, no, you can touch anything else but not that. Well, I'm still gutted though with I'm assuming you've seen that clip from Pawn Stars where the guy brings in the riddle.
The chest set. Yeah,
that was cool.
And it's just they were I would fucking kill to have those riddles, but
I have some craft projects I want to try and get around to next year. I want to try and build some of probably not that chess set, that's crazy, but maybe the tear one off and scratch my head. Those kind of riddles. I think I could probably handle that.
That would be impressive. Get them on Etsy. Sell those things.
Yeah, that one's good, but it is the pawn one. It's so detailed, so much. Edward Nygma must have spent weeks making that damn thing.
You got to put the effort in. If you want to be a successful villain, it's a lot of work.
Because at the end, he's just by the way, Bruce, how much did you look at those riddles? I spent a lot of time on that one in particular. Man.
I looked at it for about 10 seconds. God damn
it. I just looked at it the one time and threw it in the bin. I'm what? Yeah, I remember the riddle, so what does it matter? But yeah, that's kind of the end of the minute.
I've got one thing. Basically, you said why doesn't Freeze shoot at them? Guess what? In the draft, he does. In the draft, he fires the freeze ray down at them, and it says it forms a giant wall of rock-hard ice blocking the river. So then Batman has to hit a button saying emergency burn, and the Bathammer roars through and blows through the wall in an explosion of ice, which sounds pretty cool. And but then so Robin and Batgirl shoot up the face of the ice wall on either side of the Bathammer and soar over the top of it. And Robin, of course, has to quip. He's like, "Yowza, nothing but air." And then Batgirl says the word Batgirl 3 times to the 60s Batman theme tune.
Oh, man. Oh. Yeesh.
Yeah.
Plus we were talking about last week, too. Batgirl had her own theme. Why is she singing Batman theme?
Batgirl, Batgirl, Batgirl. Oh my god, that would have been terrible. That would have been so bad. I think that would have took it above and beyond.
Let's say if you cut out those jokes, though, the rest of that I'm fine with, because it is
Yeah.
it answers the question why isn't he firing the gun at them, and then it sounds like it'll be a nifty little action scene, but it also feels now like Joel Schumacher going, that'd be very expensive though,
Yeah.
and we already behind schedule, so.
We already paid Arnold 25 million, was it, or 30 million? 25 million. So that's like 2 set pieces cut out.
Yeah,
Probably that one.
Paid him 25 million for his 5 minutes on set.
Yeah.
You had if it was Patrick Stewart, you'd have those scenes.
Oh, Patrick Stewart would be there, yeah.
Yeah,
For like the whole year.
but
He'd probably clean up after or something.
if it was Hulk Hogan, you could add in 5 more set pieces potentially.
Oh, don't. I mean, on our Christmas special, I went on about Hulk Hogan's lies. He's probably got a lie about being in a Batman movie.
Well, that's what I always am like. Nah, man. One of the people who claims he was going to be in this is David Duchovny.
Oh, yeah.
He was offered the role of Batman. And I'm like, I think now he's just saying that because it's wouldn't that be a funny story to tell people I was almost Batman?
I think he could pull it off, but I don't see it being offered to him at the time. No.
Yeah, well, I saw in an interview from the time that he did a screen test, and he said my nose was too big for the suit.
That was one of the things I was thinking. It'd be really hard to think of his face squeezing into the cowl, like with that very sharp, angular nose. It's like, it goes against the whole genetic makeup of David Duchovny's face.
I think his voice would be good.
Yeah, I think his voice. He might be better than George Clooney, maybe like just a tad.
The thing is, I can imagine him after, because he does have a slight Val Kilmer quality to him.
Yep.
So if you're looking for replacement Kilmer, David Duchovny kind of makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
He has that kind of low, kind of slightly laid back energy to him. But he does feel like he would be a not fussed version of Val Kilmer, which I guess in Batman's arc, where he's kind of been, because I choose to be now. I don't have the psychotic compulsion to be Batman anymore.
Yeah.
He might be more like, whatever, slumming it in.
And they were obviously looking at sort of we'll spend all our money on the villain, and we'll just get a TV actor who's on his way on the up and up to play Batman. So I can sort of believe Duchovny. The other one I heard was William Baldwin, but then I think William Baldwin probably says he was going to be in every Joel Schumacher film.
The thing is, if the company's there, I would be like, the temptation then would be you got a very prominent redheaded female in the movie.
Yeah.
Why not Gillian Anderson? She was at the premiere, because I know we find that great shot of her. She's just making this face of oh, and put up way at the start of the season, so what do you think of the movie, Jill? But the thing is, because particularly in a post Hannibal world, where you had this presentation of kind of this Poison Ivy where she's very regal and sort of almost made of made of fine china, kind of she's just this goddess. Gillian Anderson in Hannibal gives off she could be a great Poison Ivy and that kind of vibe. I don't know about the kind of any of the bodier elements of it. If she could, she does very good sort of slightly above it all kind of attitude that I think, and she'd be fantastic looking as Poison Ivy, but whether she actually could do the hammier elements,
I don't know, I'm a huge fan of Uma Thurman in this. I think part of it is she's not given that great material to work with. But sorry, John. Sorry, but I someone, I can't remember who it was, pointed out that she's Uma is beautiful, but I don't buy her as a seductress. She's more kind of Nicole Kidman would have been absolutely perfect. You could buy Nicole Kidman seducing you.
I could
don't
see
know
that.
I can buy Uma Thurman seducing me.
Well, I don't agree.
She feels a bit untouchable.
But I agree that Nicole's got a bit more of a...
Come hither.
Yeah, there's something else there that, maybe Uma doesn't
But
have.
this thing, and there's things at the time, I was, 13 when this film came out, so I didn't get that she was doing a Mae West impression. But now that I've seen that, I'm that's kind of fun, that's kind of cool.
It is a weird choice considering this movie is specifically aimed at children.
Yeah.
It's like the kind of like, the age demographic is young children and people in their 70s.
Yeah.
Remember Mae West.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Capture the audience of grandparents taking their grandchildren to the cinema.
Yeah, true. I guess the middle ground is like the parents who grew up with the 60s TV show. So it's like, actually, you are kind of covering the range of people there.
Clever. We're not giving them the credit they deserve.
But, Neil, of course, because Batman and Robin is so reviled as one of the worst films ever made by certain sections of the public, and we are asking the guests what they believe the worst film they've ever seen is. So I don't know if you got anything lined up in that regard.
I'm gonna say, like, I'm fascinated by all movies. Like, even if a movie's not working, I'm sort of fascinated, kind of like why and how it's not working. So I'm actually gonna be really sanctimonious, and I'm gonna abstain and plead the fifth, because I feel like the one thing that irks me more than a bad movie is kind of the way that sort of comic book, sci-fi, and fantasy fandom spend too long focusing on movies and TV shows that we hate. Oh, I hate the new Star Wars. Oh, I hate the new Doctor Who. I hate the new Star Trek. I hate the new this, that, and the other. And it was kind of like novel when the internet started, and people wrote mean things and did mean YouTube videos and stuff. But like, it's just so draining now. And I'm not suggesting like celebrating like mediocrity, but maybe just like people just try and like come to movies with like positive vibes.
Yeah.
And if it's not really for you, then maybe just like step away and watch something else.
Well, you're going to love the follow-up question.
Well, this is where I'm going to get pillared. Yeah, go on.
But of course, the follow-up question would be then, is there a movie that is regarded by the internet as being bad that you will stand up and defend to the death?
I don't know, like defend to the death, but like I do deliberately sort of like go out and watch movies that people are like, don't watch this, it's horrible. So like back in 1997, another movie came out called The Postman with Kevin Costner. And it got a ton of hate, it got a ton of negative reviews, and I was like, I'm definitely not going to watch that. But I watched it really recently, and it's actually kind of interesting, and it's a great sort of like counterpoint to Waterworld, and kind of it's a really atypical kind of post-apocalyptic movie. It is pretentious, it is long, it's 3 hours, but the story's kind of cool. It's like Kevin Costner, and like there's been like a apocalypse across America. There's been like wars and plagues and famines and stuff, and everyone's gone back to living in kind of like wooden towns. And kind of like an hour into the movie, he finds this postman uniform, and there's this wandering like militia that kind of rules kind of all these kind of like little outposts and stuff. And he finds his postman uniform, and he finds his bag of mail, and he puts it on, and he basically lies, and he says the government in Washington is reforming, and they've set up the postal service again. I'm the first postman, and we're gonna like deliver mail. And he starts like he starts getting like other people to be postmen as well, and kind of like, so instead of like being like a Mad Max one where it's kind of like, we're driving around in cars and like killing each other and it's all kind of like crazy but kind of fun, it's kind of like he's sort of like brings civilization back from the brink in a way.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's like an opposite of Mad Max. Like the author said, it's like the opposite of Mad Max. It's like not about people resorting to senseless violence. It's about like people remembering like their humanity and sort of learning how to talk to each other again. And like, it's a really good movie. I shouldn't have listened to those people 24, 25 years ago.
Yeah. Sadly, I did, so I never watched it.
Yeah.
Because I heard, it's terrible. Why would you even bother?
I think it's always the length of it that's quite daunting.
Yeah, and like certain actors, like their shelf life passes, and I feel like with Waterworld, kind of everyone was kind of like, we're done with Kevin Costner, please don't come back. And then he was like, I'm back, and I'm making another post-apocalyptic movie, and it's even longer, and it's got no action in it.
I'm quite curious actually, because I know Rick and Julia from Mad Max Minute.
Yeah,
obviously, because Mad Max has finished for the moment. Obviously, there'll be another, Furiosa prequel currently in development and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're covering Waterworld at the minute. H2O minutes at a time.
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll go on to do the Postman.
It's worthwhile because it is really a counterpoint. And Waterworld is another one where I picked up the Blu-ray because it had a 3-hour cut in it. And it's more it's got some more interesting stuff. I'm not going to say it's great or anything, but if you're bored for a night and you want to just waste some time in a big 90s bubble for 3 hours, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, Waterworld, I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time now, but I remember I didn't hate it. It was fine. I've seen worse movies.
I mean, this is the thing, one of the things I wanted to say about Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin, I feel, was one of the first movies where the internet hated it. Kind of you had movies before that where kind of people didn't like it, but kind of the chatter sort of died down, or maybe the name would get remembered, like Ishtar and Heaven's Gate and Highlander 2 and stuff. They'd get remembered, but no one would really actually remember it. Whereas Batman and Robin came at this time in '97 where lots of people were getting on the internet. I'm not going to say it was the start of the internet, but lots of people were getting the internet in their homes and they were talking about it, and it's sort of that sort of perpetuated it becoming this kind of meme of this is the worst movie ever made.
Yeah, definitely.
And there was a website called Ain't It Cool News.
Oh yeah.
I remember.
They did the review of this, and it really kicked up a fuss. Because it wasn't even really a review. They'd gone to see, one of the guys had gone to see, I think it was Harry Knowles, had gone to see an early screening, and he came out, and I've got it just up here, and he says, speaking of, after the film, the casualty victims, the audience stood in front of the theatre with a stunned looks of disbelief. You know that look on people's faces in Atomic Cafe? The survivors of Hiroshima? I saw that stare again. The pain, the agony, the wish to make it all go away.
I'll admit that's well written.
It's that kind of attitude of people, and that really sank it. And just to go on a mini rant about Ain't It Cool News, it was for those who weren't around back then, it was this early kind of movie review site run by this guy called Harry Knowles, and they would go and see early screenings.
The currently cancelled Harry Knowles.
The currently cancelled Harry Knowles, now. And he would get into early screenings and private screenings and stuff, and he would give his opinion about movies. And for a while, it was sort of I think Batman and Robin kind of scared the crap out of the studios, because I do feel that review of Batman and Robin kind of it just kind of made a big exclamation mark on the movie. And kind of the following year they did Godzilla. Sony were doing Godzilla, Sony TriStar, and they were so scared that Harry Knowles would do the same thing, they invited him out and gave him a private screening of Godzilla, and he actually gave the movie a pretty good review early on. And then everyone on his website were like, what are you talking about? It's a terrible Godzilla movie. And he had to go he went, oh, sorry, it was a private screening. You know what? I went to a second screening in an actual cinema, and you're right, it is. He kind of tweaked his opinion to kind of fit the kind of mass opinion.
You can get swayed though. I'm not saying he's not just lying.
No.
Where if you're invited to this screening and they treat you well and they get you food and drinks,
I'm giving the not just the evil eye to Harry Knowles, but to the studios as well, because they kowtowed to him for the next kind of 5 or 6 years. They were all trying to rub shoulders with him because they knew he was sort of kind of the swayer of a certain kind of popular opinion. Anyway.
Then it turned out he was a scumbag.
And he was a scumbag, yeah.
So, I do remember the downfall of Harry Knowles, where they always used to have his talkbacks underneath all the stories of Ain't It Cool News. And when all those accusations landed in against them, all of a sudden those talkbacks were disabled. And they were just never be enabled because they knew what everyone was going to be talking about under every single story. And there's nobody who hated Harry Knowles more than the people who used Ain't It Cool News.
Which is hilarious, really.
Yeah.
We will now depart into the dark, dark night. Neil, one more time, would you like to plug your wares?
Yeah, sure. Come to if you're interested in Batman Forever stuff. I've got a whole website full of magazine articles, concept art, toy reviews, all that kind of crap. That's 1995batman.com. I've got a 1997batman.com that I've just started doing the Batman and Robin stuff. And in terms of like what else I'm doing, I'm working on I've co-written and co-produced a feature film called Murder Ballads: How to Make It in Rock and Roll, which will be out in 2022. We just finished filming last week. So yeah, we're in the editing room for that. If you want to follow that, that's at Murder Ballads UK on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh, excellent! Go and follow that right now, everybody, to keep up to date with it. So 2022, this episode will be out in 2022. So this year,
Right.
excellent.
This year,
Everybody, it's coming. And if you back out on it now and make it the year after, oh, there's going to be hell to pay.
Unless the listeners are listening in 2023 to this particular episode, then hey, it's this year.
Yeah. And that's something we've learned through this process is people latch onto the show at weird times. People will just start at the beginning right now.
Yeah.
Great, that's what it's there
This
for.
guy keeps popping up in the listeners' cave talking about how he's midway through Batman Returns. Like, Batman, that was like 2 years ago.
I don't remember
I
that.
was like, yeah, we don't not with you from the exact start all the time, man.
No, keep on discovering it, everybody. And discover us again on Monday when we will have new minutes and a new guest. See you then, Batmites.
next time from Battle to Technobabble. To reclaim the captive city of the Colonel's cold, callous claws, the newly crested companions concoct a mass Thor. Imminent icy elimination means the Bat Fam can't fade. Imminent icy elimination means the Bat Fam can't plan for long. But can satellite interception turn this dark night from dusk to dawn? 3 kings, well, 2 kings and a queen, grapple with the gravity of the situation on Monday. Batmites, same Batpod, different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.
back.